Good evening, everyone. My name is Jeff with The Verses. We're here to talk all things poetry. And this is just going to be a quick little stream to show you some upcoming deadlines and poetry news in case you're trying to get your poetry out into the world. These are some things that are going to be happening this week and next week that you may want to get your poetry ready for if you're trying to get some submissions out into the world. We're going to be talking about some scholarship opportunities, some poetry journals that are closing submissions, some contests that you want to be aware of as well that will be extending through to the new year. Some of these will have fees attached to them, some of them will be free, some of them will be great opportunities for the quote unquote emerging writers, whatever that category means, versus people who are already very much established in the game. So let's get kind of right started. And if you have questions for me about anything as we go through this, you can be sure to put them into the chat box. But again, these will be things that are happening now through kind of mid December for the most part. Give me a second to share my screen with you and make that a little bit bigger. Okay, so the first thing you're going to see here, there is a journal. I was actually not familiar with them. I just found them out myself. They are called Of Rust and Glass Submissions. A little bit unusual in the sense that to submit to them, you'll need to actually go through Gmail, or not Gmail, but through an actual kind of email. If you're interested in submitting, but this might be a good opportunity for people getting started in their poetry career, to get some journals and publications out there. Some things that you want to consider for this journal, they have themes. So, for instance, the theme for January is going to be scars. And this is going to be open through the 15th of December, just a heads up. They're especially looking for a max of 4 poems. Yes, so try not to send 5. And the deadline is going to be the 15th, like I said. 4 poems, submit by Gmail. Those are the main highlights for this journal. Again, as always with journals, you want to make sure you're reading through their content to make sure it's a good fit for you. But this is the place I would get started at. Keep an eye out after the stream and the video details on YouTube, where I'll also be posting links to the places where you can submit pages, things like that. That's kind of just to open us up. So again, if you're just starting out and sending in poetry submissions, this might be a good opportunity to try. I don't know a whole lot about them, but especially since they're based in the Midwest, they may like to know that. So I would definitely highlight that in your author bios if you do choose to submit them. Next is a journal I submitted to a long time ago. This is called the Citron Review, an interesting submission place in the sense that they're looking for poetry of 30 lines or less. So if you have some micro pieces or pieces that are 30 lines in general, is going to be less than a page. This might be a good place to check out. They, in terms of submissions, are also a little bit unique. So they do have a free submission, so you don't have to pay for this. And basically, the limit for this is going to be 5 poems a quarter. So whether you choose to kind of just do all the poems at once, or you kind of want to spread them out through the quarter, it seems like that's kind of up to you. The deadline for this is fast approaching, so you do want to make sure you're submitting to this by December 6th. Just a heads up there. This could be another. They seem to be pretty friendly for, again, people just getting started. Just wanted to. It wasn't my first poetry submission, but it was definitely earlier on when I had started submitting things that they had taken one of my pieces. So they could be a good fit for you. As always, check and see if their content matches what you're doing. This one's going to be a little bit more advanced. This is from Frontier Poetry. Frontier Poetry is especially focused on poets of color. And so they're doing a competition. This is going to be very competitive. Not only because the prize, if you win, is $3,000, but in general, Frontier is definitely a pretty competitive journal. They have lots of great resources for writers as well. So if it's not a journal you're familiar with, I definitely would encourage you to spend some time exploring their page. In case you're interested in the judge for this is going to be Andres Serpa. And some highlights. This is going to cost some money. For 3 poems max for the submission, I really would encourage you to have at least 3. And they're focusing on the theme of hurt and healing. Hence the name of the prize. This is not cheap. So submitting here is going to cost you $20, but that's kind of what you get for this sort of contest and things. Not unusual to see a prize that a cost that much to submit. The deadline for this is a little bit later compared to a lot of the other journals we're going to be looking at too. So you need to get your submission ready by the 31st. But in all honesty, as with all, anytime you're submitting, I really do encourage you to submit as early as possible. Your chances of getting accepted are much higher if you can get your pieces in earlier rather than later. There's just less competition. Again, $20 to submit. 3 palm healing the theme. And also, there was one other thing I wanted to mention about them. Oh, they also give you the option for editorial feedback. So if you're also trying to get an idea of what editors think about your work, this could be something to consider. It is more expensive, about like 3 times the cost, but for $60, pretty much you also get some ideas about things that editors enjoy about your work. So if you're not in a position where you're regularly getting feedback from someone and you want to get some professional quote unquote suggestions, that could be one option for you. So definitely do consider that. Next up, if you guys are familiar with Tinderbox, they also have a chapbook or kind of publication division called Tinderbox Editions. So for those of you with a manuscript, and this is a little bit unusual, they're taking manuscripts, but for submitting, and I think it only lasts for a certain amount of time. Once they reach a certain amount of submissions, you need to donate. But I think right now it's still free. Though, again, definitely would encourage you to be fast. So what you can do is you can submit your own chapbook. What are some details that they're looking for that chapbook? Well, again, this is by the 8th. They're looking for, or actually, excuse me, it's not a chapbook. This is longer. Excuse me, I made a mistake. This is 48 to 68 pages, so a little bit longer than a chapbook. It's kind of a small, short length. 48 to 68 pages of poetry. So if you have a manuscript you've been working on and you want to kind of get some eyes on it, and this might be a good opportunity, just again, because it could still be free at the moment. Quick note too that they mentioned they are not reading this blind, so you don't have to hide your name on files and things like that. Okay. Also, because it's just an open reading period, just to note that they don't really have to publish anything. They choose not to. Okay. So again, definitely something if you're doing manuscripts and you have something that's a little bit longer than a chapbook, this might be a good opportunity for you to check out. Up next, this is a journal I'm not super familiar with called Elevation Review. Just kind of highlight some things from them. They're looking for 3 palms. It's also free to submit. Submit through Submittable. And the deadline for this is going to be December 8th. So this might be another good opportunity if like tier 1, tier 2 type journals are a little too advanced. This might be a good place to kind of get your feet wet a little bit in terms of the poetry submission game. Again, not going to say that that's a guarantee you're going to get published or anything like that. It's the poetry world's super competitive now. But something to note if you're a person of color or anything, any underrepresented voice, it might be good to kind of mention that as well in your bio or make that clear to your editors. Like just saying something like, "Hey, I appreciate your vision to promote like equality and inclusion in your work. I personally identify as however you identify." Just another place to consider there. Our next journal, I'm a big fan of this journal. It's a smaller journal, but I enjoy the quality of work. They were kind enough to take a couple of my pieces. If you guys are familiar with Hanif has some pieces here too. At least he did it earlier in his career. But Up the Staircase Journal is, I think, another great one that's not necessarily easy to get into, but it could be a good opportunity for you if you're trying to get your name out there. There's poetry submissions. They look for 3 to 6 poems. And the submission process is also free here. Though, again, that deadline is the 11th of December, so rapidly approaching. Place that's a little bit more competitive, and it will cost some money, but when you do submit, I do believe they send you a copy of their journal. So there is that, so you can kind of get familiar with what's going on in the poetry world for them. It's New Ohio Review. Pretty respected journal here. You can send in 6 pages of work, but the price for submissions is a little bit higher than it is for other journals. You're looking at about an $8 fee. Deadline here is going to be the 15th of December. And in fact, for most of the remaining journals we're going to be looking at, that's about the price you can expect to see. Next up, we have the Heartland Review Press. They have the Joy Bale Boone Poetry Press. I'm happy to recommend them for submitting. I was a finalist for their prize once, and if you do happen to win, you get $750, which is no small shakes. Some highlights. You can read through the guidelines yourselves, but just some things that stood out to me. So you're looking at 3 palms max, and it's also going to be $10 to submit. So if you're again trying to get some contest credits out there, this might be another good opportunity for you to consider. Next up, we had Drunk Monkeys. Oh, did they just close? Hmm. This is interesting because they said they're open. I might have to put this one on hold. It might be something to check out, see for yourselves if it's open. But they have a chapbook thing that they may be running. I'll have to do some more details on that. If they are running it, the chapbook it was free, and they're looking for a length of 15 to 30 pages for the chapbook. I'm going to I have to do some more research on that. Specifically, if you type in, they are called the Cherry Dress Chapbooks. Cherry Dress Chapbooks. If you go to Google and you type in Drunk Monkey and you type this in, you might be able to find something there. I can't guarantee it. Find my mouse. So it's called Cherry Dress Chapbooks. You might be able to find something if you're trying to get some chapbooks out there for your collection or your publication. Next up, we have Split Lip. Split Lip is doing something. They're accepting one poem. That's pretty unusual. Not very often you can see just people accepting one poem. And the submission is free if you are a poet, a Black writer. Deadline again for this is going to be December 15th. Something to keep it up. Again, a little bit unusual just to have one poem, so make sure whatever you're sending, you have a lot of confidence in. Another thing too is that it is a simultaneous sub, so that can work to your advantage. So, because it's just one poem. If you are not Black, they do make it very clear: do not submit. Next one, House Mountain Review. I am not honestly very familiar with them, but just to get some highlights about an opportunity that they have. So they are looking for some poems for their winter 2023 issue. They're looking for 5 poems, and submissions are free for Writers of Color, also for other areas of identification. So gay, lesbian writers, LGBTQ community. Deadline for that is going to be December 15th. It's another place you may want to look into if you're trying to get some work out there. Last couple things are going to be workshop related. If you're trying to get up your craft game or just network. This next one, again, another conference. This is not one I'm familiar with, know a whole lot about. So if you guys know about it, you should be sure to let me know. This is called the Looking Glass Rock. They have a writers conference working with Camille T. Dungy. This again is going to be a deadline of December 15th. And to submit to this for this conference, you need to submit 10 pages of work. It wasn't entirely clear to me. It looks like this is a scholarship, but this form that they have isn't for the scholarship. So if that sounds like something that you're interested in for attending the conference, I would definitely kind of explore their website a little bit more, because that was not entirely clear to me about that. But again, if you're looking for a conference, this might be something that is up your alley. So again, submission is December 15th, 10 pages long. And the last thing I just wanted to highlight really quick, Hudson Valley Writers. They also have kind of workshops and scholarships all throughout the year. So right now they're doing a Winter Spring 2003, the Person of Color Scholarship. I was trying to kind of get a better idea of how to submit quickly. Granted, so there may be things I missed. It doesn't look like you actually have to submit poems. There's like different registration forms that you do need to complete. So just kind of something to be mindful of. They do not just have conference workshops that are in person. They have lots of conference talks that are virtual over Zoom. So that may be an option for you if you're not necessarily mobile at the moment, but you want to still attend things online. That might be an opportunity for you to take advantage of. All right. So again, those are just some opportunities happening for you and for writers in general between now and largely December 15th. We'll be back next week with some more details, places where we think could be helpful for you to submit your work and get your poetry out into the world. Again, also check us out on Tuesday. We do the Verses Live, our video podcast. We also welcome welcome people in person as well. We talk all things poetry. It's me, Jeff Anderson, and Matthias Jackson. Thank you guys so much for your time. You guys have a good day, have a good night, have a good afternoon. If you think of other opportunities for writing and submitting your writing that you would like people to be aware of, you can let us know in the comments. Thank you so much for your time. Talk to you later.